Hello and good morning. Make sure that I have everything on. I do. So we're back for another Charm Chats and Happily Ever After sprints, where we're getting a chance to talk to fantasy romance authors all month about fantasy romance, play some games, and spend some time writing. I'm Shannon. I write under the pen name of SC Huston, and you're here on my YouTube channel where I publish content about my writing and my self-publishing, along with weekly writing sprints. I'm also part of the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks podcast with Ben Pick from Running to Write and Morgan Lee. And I'm the founder and conference chair of the AuthorTube Writing Conference, now heading into its third year. Besides what I do here on YouTube, I am a fantasy romance and YA fantasy author with a passion for writing about broken characters who face adversity to become better versions of themselves. And there may or may not be dragons, but there's always love to find. Today, I am joined by Jillian Witt. We're going to learn a little bit about her writing and one of her books, play a game, and do some sprints, or do one sprint. So I will now do her bio. Jillian Witt reads more romantic fantasy than is strictly necessary and writes books she would love to read. Her stories unleash powerful women into fantasy worlds, usually turn enemies into lovers, and always offer an escape from reality. When not reading or writing, she's enjoying all 4 seasons in Michigan with her partner and their dog, Loki. I have a cat named Loki. So welcome to my channel, Jill. Please take a moment to introduce yourself and talk about anything that I've missed or that you might want to add.
Awesome. Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I just thought about that I think Loki is a very common pet name, but I just love it.
We actually have a hashtag here in the AuthorTube community, hashtag Loki moms, because there's so few of us who have Loki animals.
I believe that. Yeah. And yeah, I am a new author. My debut came out in November of last year, and I am really excited to be part of the romantasy author community, and I'm excited to kind of get my book out there into the hands of readers.
That's 2 years to the day that I published my debut, because it was November of 2021. So,
awesome.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to let's stop in the chat and say hello, because I know there was one person at least who stopped in already. Kay says, hello, popping in to say hi and hit the like button. Hope you're doing well. And I thanked her for stopping by. Always good to see you. I'll keep this up in the background for watch time. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, Victoria, hello. How are you doing? Hope all is well. So anyone who is here, even if you're just lurking, if you have any questions for the author, you can pop them in the chat at any time. We're about to move into the question and answer period, but we will answer any questions all throughout today's live. And it would help if you put a Q in front of the question in case, if I lose track of it, because I do lose track. I look at the screen sometimes, I see words and I skip over them. So
happens to all of us.
Yes. So, all right. So let's move into our questions and answers. The first question I ask everyone is, what drew you to write in this genre of fantasy romance?
It's just my favorite genre as a reader. I just love everything about it as a reader. And I really liked the ability to kind of tell stories that are like kind of pure escape in a world that sort of has nothing to do with our own. And I'm just a sucker for a good romance. So that's always what, the more that I've seen over like my years as a reader of those two things being blended together, like the more excited I got. And then as it sort of like became its own like real genre, finally, I was like, yes, this is the moment I've been waiting for. And I love that there are so many flavors of it that you see all different corners, from like the cozy fantasy romance to like epic, or I'm just trying to think of all the ones that are in the Flower of Feb, Gaslamp. There's just like at least a dozen different subsections even of the genre. So like, I don't ever feel like I get bored.
Yeah, well, and even Flower of Feb, they put on the library with the authors. I don't know if you were able to go to that, but they were just talking about this term romantasy, because even in the fantasy romance, romantic fantasy, romantasy world, it encompasses so many different things. I mean, you get mostly a fantasy story with just a bit of romance, or mostly a romance with a bit of fantasy. So
yeah, I love that it's got that spectrum that you like. I feel like you can just move the little slider bar to wherever you're feeling at the moment. And it's fun to be able to like also tell that to readers, like, hey, like this one's 50-50, like, hey, this is like 60-40, whatever that might be, that there's a blend there. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like it has endless opportunities.
So where's that slider bar on compass points?
It's really interesting. I think that the fantasy, like I definitely like classify it more in romantic fantasy than full
Fantasy romance.
Yeah. So I definitely think that the fantasy story is prevalent, but like more prevalent, but I think it's 60-40. Like it's pretty heavy on the romance still.
Yeah. I haven't got all the way through it yet. I just finished the chapter where we met the gods, and it was in the past, right? Well, it was a story being told to the main character by her mother of a story of the gods. And so I feel like the tension's already there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can't help but add lore to stories. That's one of my favorite things as a reader too, is like I don't know, like I think of it as books within books, where like when you're reading a book, it's talking about some reference to like some text that references the world and the things that happen. Or like when you have fantasy stories where they're doing a bunch of research, that's always my favorite too, because then you think of this massive library and all the information about this fake world that exists. I just get lost in the fun of information about the world.
In my debut into fantasy romance, she has a book that my main character goes back to that was about a city that existed that had better technology, but now it's gone. But then it talks about the Fae and the different powers and the Godstones. And so, yeah, I do the same thing. So tell us a little bit about your debut novel, Compass Points.
It is kind of a blend of a lot of my favorite things. Hopefully that's not a surprise, but I'll share what some of those favorite things are. So I really like something that also has drawn me to fantasy romance is like the concept that there's generally like a pretty strong female lead. Now that strength can be portrayed in a lot of different ways. But the fact that there is someone like who I can identify with on on a deeper level that is kind of like running the show and sort of like taking in this whole experience. And so I made like Rose as my main character, and she is, I don't know, she's definitely got like this pain and this past that she's running from, but she also has like a determination to live with like what she has, and like a determination to still have kindness and still sort of be happy in the world that she has, even though she has, a lot of pain in her past. So I really like that resilience in a character. And then I really just kind of adding like the magical, like, I don't know, like kind of powerhouse, and like she's like a magical weapons master. So I really, really love that concept of like, she has mastery over some magical skill that's not all that common in the world.
Right. It kind of gives her kind of like the chosen one feel.
Yeah.
Because weapons masters don't typically have magic themselves if they're crafting magical weapons, but she's one of the few that do. Yeah, and there's some anomalies. I can't say the word. I didn't get a chance to tell you. I'm partially tone deaf, so I can't always hear what words are supposed to sound like in my head. I know how to write them, just don't know how to say them. So there's some differences there, and of course there's this mist that's like putting all these towns to sleep, and it just came to her town, but it doesn't put her to sleep. So again, kind of like the chosen one feel vibe there, that she's meant for something more. And I was telling Jillian behind the scenes, like, I like that. There's like, I start thinking like, what if she's this or what if she's that? I like, so we learned that the gods, one gave up their life to protect the humans. And I'm like, okay, they protected the humans at this point in time in that story, but now the humans are all being put to sleep by this mist. So now something else needs to happen, because obviously it didn't stop the humans from being hurt by this mist or whatever it was that was going on then. Now there's something new happening. And I'm like, well, what if she's like a reincarnated god or something like that? That's where I started thinking stuff like that. Or she's the daughter of one of the gods, maybe Aurora. I don't know, but
no spoilers.
Spoilers. I'm just throwing it out there. You don't
theories. So many theories.
Yeah, just theories. So yeah, don't want you to tell me. I like surprises. That's my favorite part of reading is surprises.
I love that too.
Yeah. So I do love the main idea that Rose is a magical weapons master. How did you, you kind of said you like this, strong heroine type, but how did you decide to have this as like her trade? And then what's the coolest weapon she's ever made?
I sort of landed on that as the trade because I needed like I mean, I kind of thought of the idea that there's this unknown mist that is taking over the continent, and so far, yeah, it looks like it's putting people to sleep, but people can't go into the villages where the mist has been, and it's really just it's not a great thing that's happening, and it's getting, although it's been happening a little bit in sort of like the broader sense of time, it's definitely like increasing in momentum as our story sort of kicks off. And so it was funny to me, the idea, it was funny to me that like, I was like, oh, well, maybe like with mist, someone could just come up and swing a stick at it. Like, obviously that's not going to work, right? Like, so I was like, I kind of thought it was humorous to have the concept of a magical weapons master, like a weapons master trying to like fight the mist, because like, and the sort of grand scheme of things, like that shouldn't be the thing that works. And like, it's not, but like, it is a big tie-in to the story and like how they go about being able to put some stop to what's going on and figure out the larger sort of problems on the continent that are leading to this. So I really just, I also wanted her to have like a competency, like something that like others couldn't do that she excelled at. And that was like one of the things that like drew me to like that as an occupation. It's just, I think it's cool. I would love to work in a forge. I don't think I have the skill for that.
No, I don't like heat. I like the cold better. So you developed the idea of the mist before you came up with what her trade was. That's kind of funny. The idea of her, doing a stick, obviously. She has some protection against the mist herself.
Yeah.
So what was your inspiration behind the book and the series that you're developing?
This one's really fun. We're going to have to go on a little bit of a journey for this. So I live in Michigan now, but I spent the last 6 years or so in San Francisco in California. And my partner really likes hiking. I was not a huge fan. I will say that it's grown on me. And I have to say that I like hiking now because I've done so much of it. But a compromise that we made because he really likes, I call them like, I don't know, like really trudge, like just long, arduous hikes. And I was like, well, what if we really like, I don't know, went somewhere pretty? Like that seems like it could be a good compromise, and we're still in nature. So we really like ended up doing a lot of national parks together. And that was like a place where you could find really long hikes and stuff, but you still got like, I don't know, like the really stunning views. And so living in San Francisco, one of the places that we hit was Crater Lake. And so the first time that I went to Crater Lake, I don't know if you guys have familiar with it, but it's so it's kind of like up on a mountain. It's like a giant crater on the top of this. I'm actually pretty sure it's a dormant volcano. And like the lake is just this deep blue. It's stunning. And then in the middle of, it's not really the middle, but like in the water, there is a little island, and it's actually called, like literally at the park, it's called Wizard's Island, because it kind of looks, or Witch's Hat, I think. It looks like a little witch's hat. And so that's like what they actually call the island. And the first time that we were there and I saw it, I was like, you cannot convince me that a magical person doesn't live there. Like, I just know it to be true, and no one can tell me otherwise. And honestly, so that was like the first inkling of compass points in the world, was that there was definitely someone magical living on that island. I didn't know how or where or what they were doing. I would say like in some of my like really early ideations, it was more like the, I don't know, like the grumpy old wizard that lived on the island. But it's not, it's Rose.
She is a bit grumpy herself, but not always.
Yeah, she, so like, and that was definitely the start of the series. And then like, actually there is, I don't have the book handy next to me, but there's a map in the book. And if you look at it, it looks very similar to, I would say like the San Francisco Bay Area and Pacific Northwest. I ended up just sort of like, I mean, it's all a fantasy world. It actually has nothing to do with reality, but I used that kind of topography as like the inspiration. Thank you. Yeah. So you can see like Sandrin Bay, and the city of Sandrin definitely just like sort of looks like San Francisco. And then you have like the Sierra, the High Sierras as like the mountain range.
Is that the lake there?
It's the one up is Crater Lake, which is Lake of the Gods. So I do have 2 lakes in my book. Some people would say that's excessive, but I really like lakes and water too. So yeah.
Yeah, so you have Compass Lake and Lake of the Gods. Yeah. And okay, Barry. I see Barry now. I don't know why I was thinking it was around Compass Lake for some reason, but now that I see Barry and I know that's the name of the town that she was in, I just didn't go back and look at it once I was given the name of the town.
I love reading on Kindle, and I do read on Kindle more than anything else, but I will say maps is the only reason that I prefer like hard copies of books in front of me, because it's so much easier to flip back.
Well, my husband told me I had to start getting rid of books because we had too many. So I was like, but I still want my books.
Yeah. I have a 1 new book in, 1 out kind of policy, but I have an excessive amount probably.
Yeah. I have stacks of books all around me, and I got bookshelves that are filled with them too. So we've had a couple of people come in. Hello, Margaret. Nice to see you. And Lori, I love the inspiration for the setting. This is someone new to me. I don't know. Is this someone new?
No, I know who that is.
Okay.
Hi, Lori.
Well, welcome, Lori. Thank you for coming. Okay, so we talked about the inspiration, and I'm curious because I haven't made it to the end of the book yet. I know there's a second book coming. Is it with the same characters? The whole series will be with the same characters?
Yes. Yeah. So the first trilogy will be all the same set of characters. I will say that, the first book is very focused on Rose and Luke and sort of entering the world of Compass Lake. And then the second book definitely goes into like some of the characters that are a little bit more on the periphery. So the compass points themselves, there's more of all of them. I would say like book 1 is about Rose kind of dealing with her past and sort of coming into the fold, if you will. And then 2 is like that problem solving with the rest of the compass points.
So what I kind of understand is like the gods, there were 4 gods. They were compass points, north, east, west, south. Which I was surprised that wind was not west. I don't know why. I get that from Greek mythology because they always said that it was the west wind. The wind came from the west. So I thought that was interesting. And on the actual, like where the mortals are at, or immortals, because your favorite immortal, then there's also more compass points. So they're representative of the gods then? Each compass point is representative of that god?
Yeah, so there is like part of the lore in the story is that the gods did have to, like, they created the compass points, and so they gave up just a little bit of their power to create the Fae, and then the Fae that they created were instilled with like that piece of their element, basically. So it does have elemental magic, and then they kind of use the god as like their patron. So like you have and the compass points end up being loosely north, south, east, and west, but I did give them their own, like, so it's like Norden, Suden, Austin, and Vestin. And they each serve like one of the 4 gods. So they are like directly tied to one of the gods who gave them their magic.
But if I'm reading it right, because this is the part I'm still trying to wrap my head around, when you have a compass point on the earthly plane and it's one of the Fae of that, is that like the leader of the Fae?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you think about like traditional like Fae courts, and like you just have 4 Fae courts here that are based on
the compass points.
Yeah.
And they're called the compass point. So it's kind of like a synonym for king or queen in this case.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I kind of got from it. So I was thinking right. But yeah, I think I'm intrigued by the system that is set up there. It's definitely different. And of course, you have the medallion or the necklace, the golden necklace with the compass points on it that they put a little bit of their magic into as well. And the main character, has that. So I'm like, how did she get this? Is it the same one? I think it's the same one. So yeah, that's what led me to believe, okay, she's more important. And there's been kind of like a hint that she's half Fae, but I'm like, I think she's more than just half Fae. There's something more going on here. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the story. Hello, Andy. Thank you for stopping by. So again, anybody, if you have any questions for the author anytime, you can drop them in the chat with a Q. That would be helpful for me to find. I think we're coming to the last couple questions here that I have for the author. Jillian, who is your favorite fantasy romance author?
I thought about this really hard about what I would actually say, and I still don't know. I am like classically an SJM fan forever. So we've got that. I would say that even earlier, I would look at where would I go? I guess like maybe I'll go the other way. More recently, like things that I've really gotten into or authors. I last year, or I guess it was very beginning of this year, I picked up The Trial of the Sun Queen, and I'm obsessed with that now. So I'm going through Nisha's entire catalog at the moment. But I feel like I pick up a new fantasy romance author at least once a month. So I'm always discovering new people. I've read a ton of Elise Kova too, as another, I guess, self-published author. Yeah. And I love her writing.
Me too.
So there's too many to name probably.
It was a long shot because I'm on her newsletter. It was a long shot, but I did send her an invite to come on the show. I got a response, I believe, from probably from a VA or something saying that her schedule was booked already. I was like, well, it's cool that they answered. I really wasn't expecting a response. But yeah, I love Elise Kova. Trial of the Sun Queen. That sounds very familiar, but I don't think I've read it.
It is what's the pitch? Hold on. It's like The Bachelor meets, is it The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games? I don't know. It's like a competition, a queen competition. It's very good. Very good. I think it was one of the Goodreads Choice Awards this year too.
Okay. Yeah, and I've seen her name quite a few times now. I would say over the last couple of months, I've seen her name. I'm looking it up on Amazon. So yeah, I would say once I started delving into, when I decided, okay, I'm gonna move into fantasy romance, which was like 2.5 years ago, I started delving into the fantasy romance genre and reading everything I could. And I would say that my favorite author changed from here to there. L.J. Andrews, Elise Kova, there's some of my favorites then. And then I read Carissa Broadbent early last year before she got picked up by the traditional publishing house on that one novel. And I just loved it. And that was the first novel I read by her. So then I read everything she has. So
she's definitely on my TBR. I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure I will love it. Yeah. I'm very confident.
And hers is on the sliding scale, like what we were talking about before. At least the Serpent in the I've got it right here. The Serpent in the Wings of Night. Mm-hmm. It's more fantasy than it is romance, but the romance is there. So yeah, I really loved it. And that sliding scale, like I like it all. I like it when it's way over on one side, way over the other side. I like all the different.
I love that because then the readers can kind of like mix and match based on their mood at the moment too. Because like I want to read something different all the time.
Yeah, me too. All right. So what is your favorite fantasy or romance trope and why?
I think that even though this isn't like really prevalent in my story, I think that it's enemies to lovers. I can't get enough of it. I will consume literally anything with enemies to lovers. I think it just adds like this like level of tension that I can't like walk away from.
Yeah.
I think it's like, to me, a lot of it is all about building the tension. And that's one that like just chef's kiss most of the time.
Yeah. I feel the same. I built my whole series around enemies to lovers.
Yeah. Would you say that's your favorite too?
Yeah, that is my favorite. And then probably followed by forced proximity. Yeah. So, yeah.
Love that.
And celebrating that. It's nice to have variation even within the same genre. Yeah. He's a nonfiction author moving into writing thrillers.
Mm-hmm. I did a very light enemies to lovers, I feel like, in my book. Like it's there, but it's, I would say, almost more prejudice than actual like
or bias.
Yeah, than intent. And it's like, it's gentler. Can you say gentle enemies to lovers? It's not like I see people talk about like true enemies to lovers where they're literally on like different sides of a war with like, all of the tension that goes with it. That's not what I did.
Yeah, I actually had that conversation like on Instagram with another author because we both wrote enemies to lovers, And she was showing this, I don't remember, it was an Instagram reel, but basically it's like, when you say enemies to lovers, I really want enemies to lovers. Like, they are on different sides of the war. They are fighting each other, literally fighting each other. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't really have that.
I feel like, I mean, it's again, like, that's another one of the sliding scales. Like, you can have it all over the map. I think it's just about making sure that you're kind of like sharing with the audience where it falls on the scale when they're like looking for something very specific.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to move into the game. Let me switch out my banners here. We're going to do fun and games. And it's always author's choice. And the author chose, like, did you choose it or you leave it up to me?
I let you pick.
Okay, I chose Pictionary then. Fantasy romance Pictionary. I've done this one other time on the show. It was lots of fun. I can't draw like on a go. Like, I'm artistic, but just like that, I'm like not a good drawer. I drew a dragon's wing is what it's supposed to be. And people were like, muscles, dinosaurs.
Well, that's like in the same realm. If you ask me to draw a dragon wing, I'm ready. But I feel like mine's just going to look like a chicken wing. Maybe someone will be able to get it.
Yeah. All right. So to kind of give an idea of how this is going to go, we have a list that we can pull from, or we could have made some of our own, which I think I made my own dragon wing from that. I saw fairy wing, I think, on the list of things that I gave you. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do a dragon wing. But so we do have a list that we're kind of pulling from, or we can make our own. Lost my tab here. We will do a couple of these. We'll take turns doing it. We'll have a time limit of 2 minutes, which does not seem long enough, but it's just long enough for it to be fun. Everyone who's in the audience, we'd love for you to guess. Of course, we're going to be trying to guess as well what we're drawing. And then after time is up, if it has not been guessed, then the drawer will reveal what they were drawing. I got to pull up my clock, my timer. 2 minutes. Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Do you mind going first? I'm actually pulling up the list again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will go first. Let me get. So this is what I have, is a clipboard with white paper. Last time I did this, and I have a blue marker, and I had blue marker all over my hand. After I finished last time. It was fun. Okay. I think I have an idea what I'm gonna do. All right, and time is starting now. Okay. I don't know if I'm showing it.
Mm-hmm. A lamp, a magic lamp. A genie.
Yes. I was like, can I do this?
I am very scared. That was very good.
Really? No. I felt like I was drawing an ear.
Oh dear. Oh, we're in trouble. Okay.
Well. Hi, Kiko. Nice to see you. Here to boop the like button. I appreciate that. All right. I will restart the time. You ready?
I am, I think. Yes. Okay. We can see.
Okay.
Ready?
Timer. Yep. Horizon, ghost, mountain, witch's hat.
Yay! Oh, I'm sorry. That was so hard. I only have a pen. You had a good marker. But I guess you got it.
Yeah. I was following the movement of your hand. All right. Let me go back and see. Trying to start simple and then move it up from there.
Yeah, some of these are intense.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't know how to do some of these, honestly. Okay, I think I got one. Need a new sheet of paper. Let me look at it again, make sure I've got it. Okay, got it. And we're going to start time now. Okay.
Love. Heart. Oh, a necklace. Heart necklace.
It's a heart-shaped locket, so I think we can take that.
Yeah.
I think we can take that. Yay.
right. So, do I have one? Yes. Okay. No, right here. Oh, that's the one that I just did. I'm not going to be able to do that.
The shoulders, mountain, crystal ball.
Yeah.
Yay! We're doing this pretty good. I think when I did this the first time, I was like all the way almost at 2 minutes every time. So, all right, let me see. I think I've got one. Okay, I think I got it.
A castle. Oh, a castle tower.
Yeah.
Tower.
Yay! I was like, did I draw this fast? I don't know if I draw fast enough.
All right. I think I'll put these behind us. Sorry. This is going to get, I think, harder. All right. Oh, maybe not.
Crown, tiara.
Crown.
Crown, okay.
That is the saddest crown, but I'm happy with it. It got us there.
I mean, if we were in horror, it could be, Jaws or something, but,
Dragon teeth.
Dragon teeth. Yes, true. All right. What do I want to do next? Okay, I think I got one. Okay, and start time.
Oh, a magic carpet. No. Oh, a scroll. A book. A letter. A love letter.
Yes. I was like, how else can I do this? Because scroll, I was like, yeah, it does look like a scroll.
Also, I thought it was like at first the magic carpet from like Aladdin, where it has little tassels hanging off the side.
Oh yeah, because I couldn't do the scroll work very well. All right, do you want to do another one, or you want to head into our sprint?
I actually am out of paper, so I can go grab more though if you want to do more.
No, we can end there. It's no problem. So that was fun.
That was fun.
All right, so we are now going to go into our happily ever after writing sprint. And again, I think Jill left this up to me, so I thought we'd just do a random fantasy prompt. And I have a list of prompts that I made at the beginning. So if you just want to choose one, let me see how many I have on the sheet, wherever it went to. Did I close the sheet? I think I closed it because I'm not seeing it. I must have accidentally closed it out. I think it's 1 through 19 or 20, a number if you want to choose a number between 1 and
7.
7. Okay, let me get back to my sheet. I didn't mean to close that. All right, number 7. Ooh, I like this one. I actually have thought about doing like a short story on this. So let me get this added to a banner that we can put up. In a society where people are born with magical marks that match their soulmates, a person with a blank mark meets someone whose mark has been hidden.
Great.
Yeah. So we don't have to do this prompt. It's there for anyone who wants to use it. And if you are doing anything else other than writing, you're so welcome to use the 30 minutes for the writing sprint. We often leave it here on AuthorTube. We do a lot of sprints, but sometimes people just need to relax or do some housework or whatever it is that they need to work on, or reading even. So I'm going to add our timer. And if you're ready, we'll get ready to go. Yep. Okay. And we'll start in 3, 2, 1, and go. And that is time. How did you do?
Good. I got some writing done.
Awesome. It's been hard for me to just like go into writing this month, I think, because I've been just so busy. But I did kind of brainstorm a little bit. But let's hear what if you want to add anything first before I jump in and say mine.
No, go ahead.
Oh, so I was thinking, I actually was inspired a little bit by your book with this, where you have just the weapons master. So I was like, what if it's just like just one tattoo artist that can do this? So it's not everybody, but one tattoo artist can do this, and people know about it. And they go to, I hadn't decided if it was going to be him or her yet. I hadn't really decided like on gender or names, but I was like, what if they go to that tattoo artist because they know that they can do a mark that will lead to your soulmate? So I was like, yeah, that'd be cool.
I like that.
Let's just kind of brainstorm with that idea.
I actually admittedly didn't do the prompt because I actually am trying to draft my third, like the conclusion to my series.
Oh.
So I was working in there. So it was a little bit easier to like pick back up on because I have that pretty well outlined and I'm just in my first draft mode, basically.
Totally understand. Yeah, because you got your second book coming out in June.
Yes.
So it's time to move on. It's always, I feel it's kind of weird place to be when you have, okay, one book's out, you got another one's about to come out, writing the next book. It's like you're in different places with each book and you have to like compartmentalize like your brain on what to think about.
It is really weird because like then I actually still am doing like the final copy and proof edits for the second book right now. So like I'll like be drafting this and then I'll jump back over to that when I get something back from one of my editors. But I find that it's also helpful to me at least to have like a decent start on drafting of the next book in like such a tight trilogy, like that it just helps me to have like be sure of what was happening next and like know that I had told the right parts of the story before that. You know?
Sure, it helps with consistency too.
Yeah.
The storyline and character arcs and all that.
I don't know how realistic that is. Like the more that you like write in a certain world, like because I don't, or the longer the series is, I don't know. I've got a lot to learn still.
Yeah, no, it's easier to take it baby steps in the beginning for sure because there's just so much to indie publishing. So.
Definitely.
Yeah. We did have some people stop by. Martin said hello, afternoon. He's in the UK, so it's afternoon over there. He just started live streaming with Richard, who also stopped by. They just started like a few seconds ago. So I stopped by and said hello over in their chat. Rachel, hello, morning lovelies. Hope you're all having a splendid day. She was our first author on with her debut novel. So,
hi, Rachel.
Just in from Zabarnes, gonna have to catch the replay. And this is her favorite question to ask all my authors. And I tell her every time, I love it. I love the question, but it's like a two-part question because first you have to pick their favorite book and then you have to pick the hardest part. So
I like know exactly what this is. And it is a great question. It is my like it's towards the end of my second book, so I can't give that much away, but it was like it was probably the most emotional like thing that I've written, and that was just like really it was a lot. As I'm going through that part in edits, every time that I look at it, I'm like, no, I don't want to edit this scene. It makes me cry. So I'm not sure about the proofreading there. Maybe it won't be that great because I will skip some of it. Kidding. No. I'll face it.
You've got editors for a reason. Yeah. No, I can see that. You know, I was mentioning to Jillian behind in the studio before we came live that I was just starting my Ream account. And so, and Ream, for those who don't know, is like a Patreon or Ko-fi, but it's made by authors for authors. And so I'm uploading all my books. Well, I just finished uploading my third book in my trilogy, my YA fantasy trilogy. And I was like, oh no, this is like the heartache of having to leave these characters again. I was like, I didn't think I was going to feel this again. So, because when you end a series and you're done with those characters, it's just, you know.
I'm not ready for that. Don't tell me that that's hard. I'm not ready to hit that yet.
Yeah, it's hard. Any tips for writing a memorable, compelling kiss scene?
You know, I did mine based on the things that I really enjoy in books. And so I always find that, again, I'm like a huge fan of tension first. Actions kind of like are necessary, obviously, but like they're almost secondary on some level. So mine is like string out the tension for like maybe just a little bit longer than I would actually want, and like kind of lean into like the before moments and like what's happening, and like really have the reader. I would love nothing more than to hear that the reader is like ready to like throw my book across the room like before a kissing scene. I think that would be a compliment to me.
Yes. And there's Richard. Hello. He's the one that's streaming right now with Martin. And JL, hello. It's a snow day here. Dogs are sleeping and I'm in the zone. How is everyone? I'm glad that you're able to get in the zone for writing. I have not been able to do it like all month. People saying hellos, all back and forth. Oh, Rita, hello. Nice to see you. And more hellos. Victoria says, I somehow wrote 997 words. Really? Did you handwrite that too? Because I know you do a lot of handwriting. Or did you type that? That's a lot of words. I'm a slow typer. Very, very slow typer. Last year was the first year that I actually logged everything I was doing. So I logged like what project I was working on, what part of the writing process, whether drafting, revising, editing, brainstorming, how long I wrote for and how many words I wrote. And then I was able to see my average for words per minute. It was 8.9 words per minute, which I was administrative position. I was in the military for 7 years. And so I was on the computer constantly typing, but I didn't get no faster. So yeah, I'm a slow typer. And then I use dictation a lot. That's the only way I really get a lot of words is by dictation because my brain thinks fast and I type slow.
I've heard that works really well for a lot of authors, like to be able to like get it out and get like the ideas before like you run off with another one or something, especially if you like are someone who kind of doesn't necessarily write linearly or like think of the story linearly to like basically like say each thing and then be able to go and put it down in the right order later or something, or copy paste it if you have one of the transcription from dictation. I like that.
Yeah. And I read Chris Fox's book, 5,000 words per hour, and it's about how using dictation helps you get more words in. But he had said something there, and I don't remember what the exact quote was or the phrase, but basically that if you think faster than you can type, then dictation works for you. But if you can type pretty fast, then dictation may not work for you.
Do you find like the editing process to be different from for like stuff that's been dictated versus that you've written, or it's
not the same for me if I'm typing or if I'm dictating? It's a different type of editing, but you have to edit either way.
Yeah. So. I just I feel like I am I don't know, like a lazy speaker, if you will. So the way that I would say things isn't necessarily the way that I would write them. And I wonder if that like means that I would have to do even more editing. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet.
Because I'm partially tone deaf, so I don't say words the way. So like a lot of my ands, A-N-D, will come out as N-I-N. And of course, being fantasy, he doesn't understand any of my names. So I just give them basic names like Jennifer and Christopher, and then I just do a find all replace. And so
that's a good idea.
So I'm writing for my creative nonfiction class, and the subject is very emotional for me. So I guess I really need to write it all out. I understand that. That's how I am 24/7. Jillian cracked the code. Yes. Ream is on my list of to-dos for 2024. I'm intimidated by it. It's a lot, and because it is a newer system, I've never used Patreon or Ko-fi to upload anything. But like the only way to upload to my books, I would have to upload like a Word document or a Google document. But my Word documents are not the most up-to-date edited because I have them in Atticus. And so that's where my final edits all happened, was there. Well, Atticus, you can download a Word document, but the formatting is all different and it didn't look right. So I have to do chapter by chapter. And I even tried to convert it to Google Doc, and it still didn't look right. The formatting was like way off. Like every paragraph was smushed together. There's no lines between paragraphs. And I was like, either I can just copy and paste chapter by chapter, or I have to go through and put spaces between all the paragraphs. And I was like, I'd rather just paste chapter by chapter. So it's a very long process. I think they want to make it where they can upload EPUBs eventually, which would be so nice. They don't have that feature. It's still a really new company. They're heading into their second year now. But Michael Evans, who is like the designer behind everything, he is like super smart and like, I don't know, I think he's like 22 or something. He's like really young. He's already had like 6 businesses. He's already got several books published as an indie author. And he was the one who, and he ran a successful YouTube channel, made lots of money from it. And so he was like, we need something that works for authors. We need something that works better for authors. Yeah, So he's constantly updating stuff all the time and adding more stuff and listening to what we're saying as authors, like what we want and what we need. So I typed it, but my hand hurts now. I bet 997 words. Oh, I just add to the dictionary when I have a new name or place a word. Would that be like, that probably depend on the software you're using. I use Speech Texter, which is just an online. So I know I've tried different ones. Everything I use is free. I don't pay for anything because it's already a lot to pay for covers and editors and all this stuff. So, yeah.
It's so funny because I actually write in Scrivener. That's where I do my like drafting so I can move the scenes around and stuff. I really like that feature. But I just read that and I like literally haven't added Norden, Suden, Austin, and Veston to dictionary yet in there, which sounds so ridiculous now that I think it out loud because I've probably typed those things and like dismissed them as like correct probably 1,000 times.
Now you know to add them.
So thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
Friendly reminder. I love that.
What was the most unexpected challenge of self-publishing?
I think for me that some of the like the considerations around like the actual like book not what is that piece not like formatting and like actual distribution and things was a lot to learn. Like I just wasn't I wasn't familiar with it, and it was just the whole like, okay, what does like all of this mean? Like how do I make my text that I feel like I spent a lot of time working on, and that is like arguably my craft, but now as a self-published author, I also have to figure out what this what the formatting, what the margins, what the bleed, what all of this other new terminology means. And I was like, this is going to be a lot. There's a lot here. And I feel like I did like figure some of that out, and it's like, okay, but now I'm really into like another part that I find inordinately difficult is like the I guess like author branding without like author branding, because like I feel like I'm too small to actually like really like invest in like a logo or anything at the moment, but like I still want some consistency, and like something like font consistency has never been something that I've like considered. Like that's just not it's not something my brain had thought of. And so I'm like really trying to like think about, I don't know, what does my like online presence look like or something. Like it's right now just whatever I felt at the moment. So.
I would say it can evolve. So try something. And if you don't like it, evolve it. I've done that. I've already changed my author brand twice. So,
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. And I would say, I remember this, that I had an interview after I published my first book. And they said, what was the hardest part? Or what was the easiest part? Sorry. And I said, the easiest part was the writing. Because learning how to self-publish and market yourself is so difficult. So, but if you've never written like a full book, you think that's the hardest part, is getting to the end of the first book,
which is an amazing accomplishment.
It is very amazing. But then if you want to self-publish, it's like, wow, it's a whole other beast. Like you were saying, to learn all that stuff, especially if you don't use these terms in your everyday vernaculars.
I had to read someone's like just a general overview of like all the words that you need to know for like picking the way that your book is formatted and bound. And I was like, yeah, I need to know what these terms mean. None of them were in my vocabulary before.
Yep. Rita says, I tried Patreon, epic fail for me. And that is one of the reasons why, because Michael met Amelia Rose, who is a best-selling author in contemporary romance. He met her like at a conference, and she was talking about how Patreon was failing for her. And he was like, we should make something that's for authors by authors, so we don't have to run into these issues. So yeah, you probably heard that story, Rita, if you're already looking into Ream. What did you think would be the toughest part about self-publishing at first?
I think it would be like, I think I was one of the people that thought writing the book would be the hardest part. I hadn't done it before. And I as much as I enjoyed writing, I had never put together, my first book is still kind of short. I don't know. Actually, it's the same. It's like 72,000 words. So it's like the same as your not novella. So, I thought that writing something that long would be the biggest challenge, but it ended up, it was still hard, but it was a lot of fun. So
Yes.
whereas like some of the other stuff I don't consider as fun.
Right.
So there's not as much of a reward for that. The reward is that I have to do it to get my story into someone's hands.
Yeah. Chaos. Yep. I love that too. But yeah, using Greek, Roman, Indian, Korean, etc. names, and the doc doesn't recognize them, but I'm going to use them 1,000 times just so I add to get rid of the red squiggle. So. All right, well, we're going to start wrapping up the chat. If you guys do have any last minute questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat and we'll get them asked. But as we're heading into wrapping up the chat, you want to tell us a little bit about what you're working on next and when it might come out. And I mean, this is a good time to plug your next book in the series if you want to.
Awesome. Yeah, I am working on Tangled Power. It is book 2 of the Compass Points. And I said a little bit earlier, but I know people have been joining. So it's like Compass Points really focuses, it's going to be a trilogy. It's a planned trilogy in the same world, same characters. And first book is really about like the male and female main characters meeting and their whole deal. And then they really come into sort of the world of like the Fae courts and like kind of land and expand there for book 2. So book 2 is really chasing down the problems and trying to make sure that we're getting the continent back into the right shape. So I'm really excited for it. And as I said, it also includes one of my hardest scenes to write.
Yeah.
And I'm very in love with it.
I never did ask you. I did want to. Is it Ari? Is that how you say the name of the bird?
I do Ari.
Ari. Okay, I've done both. Ari. I've done both in my head. I think I went with Ari because of the main character name from my book, but it's spelled differently. Yeah. But yeah, I like Ari. Okay, yeah. So there is a shifter that, as far as Rose knows, never has a human form, but it does shift between different animals, from like bird to bear, and so I feel like there's that. I feel like that's like another clue to Rose and who she really is, but. We'll see. I know
Ari has been a real fan favorite, is all I have to say.
Yeah, I like Ari.
I get the most, I don't know, I feel like I get the most comments from people about Ari that they're really excited for him and his whole just personality on page.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm always surprised at these bigger author tubers that talk about how their books are between 50 and 60K words, meanwhile mine are hovering. Yeah, she writes chunkers.
My second book. Oh, go ahead.
I would say my first book was similar to yours. I think it was like 70,000 words. So.
I was really impressed with how easy it was to go from, because I thought like 70K was insurmountable, but then like my second book is closer to 100. Like I think it's 90 something. And I was like pleasantly surprised with how relatively easy, obviously like, the writing still wasn't easy, but like relatively easy it was to like get that much once I've proved to myself I can do something, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
My second book was like 98,000, and then my third book was 117.
Okay.
And I thought 117 was high until I wrote the debut into the fantasy romance, and that's when 141. I was like, okay, these are getting bigger and bigger as we go along. So I'm about to say again.
I was gonna say, what does that come out to for pages for the 140? Is that like?
It's like 500 and some pages.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like almost at the end of where I could have a hardback cover, because my novella is 27,000 words. The main novel is 141. And then the alternate point of view, not short story, is 72. And it's almost 1,000 pages altogether for the special edition for my Kickstarter. And I was like, oh, good. We were almost at the cutoff where I couldn't do this. And I was going to have to like make the font smaller, make the spacing smaller. And I'm glad I didn't have to do that. But planner, never met her. Me neither. All my plans get expansion, I can't say that word, larger than the third chapter. After the third chapter. Yeah. It seemed like an easy thing when I had a blank doc. Alice, hello. How are you doing? Hello, Shannon and Jillian. Hope you're both doing well. Just coming by, show some love and hitting the like button. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're almost done with the show. Look, all I know is that 98K is about 305 pages and it's 912-ish. Okay. Well, as we, before we end the show, please tell everyone where they can find you and purchase your books.
Yep. My books are on Kindle Unlimited, so on Amazon, but you can buy the paperback or hardback anywhere the books are sold.
I am dropping your Instagram and TikTok into the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, come see me.
And then I have the link tree. Jillian's link tree is pinned to the top of the chat if you would like to go there. But on the Instagram, you do have like a stand-in book cover for your next book, and it's not the actual book cover yet. So I'm looking forward to what that's going to be.
Yes, me too. It's almost done. I am like we did concept actually like I guess last week, and so she's working on like the actual mock-ups and stuff now, and I'm very excited.
I have my next book cover, but we're still working on it. So I haven't shown it yet to anybody because we're still working on it. But yeah, I see the overall concept.
That ended up being an unexpectedly really fun part of this for me. Yeah. I'm not a good, like, as you guys maybe saw from my Pictionary, drawing isn't a strong suit of mine. But I love like working with folks that have that. And I don't know, seeing, especially like as an author, seeing the thing that you made like kind of come to life from someone else is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Jillian, and giving me a chance to learn more about you. And I will definitely continue reading your book and let you know my thoughts when I finish it, because I'm really enjoying it so far.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And you doing this for all of us authors.
It's been fun. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today and interacting and giving us some questions for the authors. Always great to have that communication there. Next on Charm Chats and Happily Ever After Sprints, I'll have guest author Elle Penelope, and also known as Leslie Penelope, here on YouTube. And she's going to be here on Monday, the 19th of February at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. And that will wrap us up. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Bye.
Bye.